When the sun comes up on America, across open fields, small towns, and city streets, a new day begins. And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
Good morning and welcome to it as we kick off a brand new Tuesday here on the program. Glad to have you on board. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Trying to find the truth every day, no matter how obscured it can be. Here are three big things this hour. Number one, a working paper from the Federal Reserve suggests a massive inflow of illegal aliens during the Biden administration caused the price of homes to surge by 30%. Wake up. Number two, the campaign of Graham Plattner is potentially flaming out as new explosive allegations concerning sexual assault less than 5 years ago could burn down whatever's left. But it's not too late for Democrats to step in and put another candidate on the ballot. And number three, imagine a group that waves the banner of the working man while chanting for the destruction of the very nation that gave workers more dignity and opportunity than any other in human history. That is the Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA. They dress up radicalism as compassion, anti-Americanism as justice, and open contempt for our flag, our borders, and our founding as some noble crusade. But make no mistake, their project requires nothing less than dismantling everything that makes us American. They do not represent the working class. They represent those who want to bury what the working class built. Listen to their own voices. DSA members have gathered and declared plainly and without shame, death to America. Here's an example.
To America.
Same.
Death to the USA! Death to the USA!
Fuck the USA.
Fuck the empire, screw the U.S. terrorist state.
Declaring war on the Constitution.
Now, that didn't happen in some faraway protest, but right here, on soil paid for by the blood and sweat of generations who believed in this experiment. Here's another clear statement of their mission. Listen to this.
And, you know, we have a unique responsibility to act from the heart of empire, the belly of the beast. The most important thing that we can do is take that empire down from within.
Our role ultimately is to facilitate our own empire's failure in ways that we can, ultimately to overthrow our own empire.
U.S. imperialism is not a thing that can be reformed away. It has to be overthrown through revolutionary struggle.
And to build a mass movement that can use the leverage of workers to hit the kill switch on American imperialism here within the American empire.
Yeah. They see our country, your country, not as a flawed and miraculous beacon of liberty, but as an oppressor to be dismantled piece by piece. This is not reform, this is replacement. For their vision to succeed, American history must be recast as villainous. Spencer Pratt hit the nail on the head when he argued why that is. Here's the former mayoral candidate in Los Angeles.
Notice how the communist always attacks your history. The communist must attack your history. Why? Because history is what anchors you. It's what makes us attached to something. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. History breeds an almost irrational attachment to things, an attachment that is more powerful than anyone can imagine. Erasing history is how you demoralize people, how you unmoor them and detach them from their society so you can take it from them and rewrite it in your image. Think of your country like a home. What makes your home special? It's not the marble countertops or the expensive furniture or the fancy appliances. It's the memories you have there. That backyard is where we got married. That living room rug is where our son took his first step. Hey, don't touch that. That was his first teddy bear. It doesn't matter how torn and tattered that thing is. You will never get rid of it. And you will fight anyone who tries to take it away. Why? Because you have history with it.
The communist. The Democratic Socialist wants you to believe that our culture is irredeemable. It's mired in too much bad blood. He sees nothing to celebrate about our history. Not even on the marking of our nation's 250th birthday, which is when New York's mayor, Zohran Mamdani, a communist, delivered this solemn address about the nation that lifted him to where he is today. Listen.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few.
Look at even the symbolism during this address. Of the people behind him willing to even hold an American flag, not a single one would wave it or smile. Mamdani is often photographed grinning in activism, yet here he appears grieved, as if mourning the very idea of America. When he does celebrate, and what he does celebrate, is that our identity is something flexible, negotiable, and ultimately disposable. Here's more.
We are told that America is exceptional because we are richer, stronger, more powerful than everyone else. The truth, my friends, is that America is exceptional because here, nothing is fixed into place.
What a telling phrase. He's suggesting that the core of who we are, our Constitution, our respect for individual rights, our belief in ordered liberty can and should be just swept away. That's what happens when you try to destroy America's history. The DSA's rhetoric reveals who they truly are. Consider the candidates and voices they elevate. Here's Malat Quiros, who just beat out a 15-time Democrat incumbent in Colorado as a Democratic Socialist, justifying she is 9/11. Here it is.
Do you believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response. And again, just like I said before, our responsibility is to getting rid of those conditions that lead to violence in the first place.
This has become a common talking point among Democratic Socialists. Should be unheard of. She also, like her colleagues, demands we abolish ICE and extend full citizenship to every illegal migrant, tens of millions, without hesitation. Here's more.
Abolishing ICE is just one step, right? Democrats have been in power multiple times over the last few decades and did nothing to address the immigration reform that we actually
ICE
need.
Expenditures, increased spending.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think there has to be an immediate pathway for every single undocumented immigrant that's here in this country today that does not require them to shell out thousands of dollars to go through the process, for it to take decades at a time to be able to get to citizenship, an immediate pathway to citizenship, and then just
She hates on America next to the hater-in-chief Hassan Piker. A communist, anti-American. This is the message from the Democrat Party circa 2026. I hope you're awake to it, because it is a big concern. It is a threat. I'll be right back. The priorities of the communists are not the priorities of a factory worker worried about his job, wages, or children's safety. These are the slogans of ideologues who view borders as immoral and national sovereignty as outdated. The human cost lands hardest on the working class they pretend to champion. No question about it. Waves of unchecked immigration have contributed significantly to soaring housing costs, driving roughly a third of recent price increases and a fifth of rent hikes in key markets. Working families already stretched thin now compete for the same apartments, the same schools, the same entry-level jobs. The elites who lecture us about compassion from their enclaves do not feel this pressure. The truck driver, the nurse, the construction worker, they do. This disconnect runs deeper. Free Palestine has become the new cornerstone for the radical left, a quick virtue signal tossed out to prove one's radical credentials and avoid cancellation, especially among those radicalized on elite college campuses. Just like Black Lives Matter used to be. Screaming Free Palestine signals allegiance to the cause more than concern for actual workers scraping by in Appalachian footholds or struggling neighborhoods. Real solidarity with working people would focus on safe streets, good-paying trades, affordable families, and national cohesion. Instead, we get imported grievances and demands to tear down statues, rewrite textbooks, and apologize for our very existence from people who are not working-class Americans, who are being voted in by, and large, by not working-class Americans. Listen to these statistics.
They want you to believe that they're fighting the oligarchy and taking on the billionaires and special interests and bringing back an agenda focused on the multiracial working class. Alas, this is a load of malarkey. A 2021 survey of DSA members found that 85% were white, just 9% were Hispanic, and just 4% Black. Even Trump got 24% of Black men to vote for him, and he won Hispanic men outright. As for a working class organization, just 4% of DSA members had blue-collar jobs, while 6 in 10 had professional jobs, and the remainder were unemployed or students. Over 80% had a college degree.
This is a fake party with fake priorities who are going to do real damage to this great nation. Contrast this party's cynicism with genuine patriotism, the kind that still stirs millions. Voices that look at our cities, our challenges, and our history and say, without irony, God bless America. Spencer Pratt, again, is one of those. Listen.
Our history is messy. Our history is violent. Yeah, it is, and that's why we love it. We aren't cowards. We don't turn our backs on the painful memories because they make us who we are. Be proud of our country, damn it. America is the birthplace of every great invention of the last 250 years, like literally everything. Airplanes, spaceships, internet, telephones. As a country, we are batting 1,000. Not only is it a miracle that this radical experiment in self-governance even survived past 1776, but we are the champions of the world. Be proud of that. Be proud of your history. Millions of your ancestors fought and died to preserve it. Kami Mamdani's ancestors never bled for this country. He has no history here, so he has no attachment to our home. He has no place to rewrite our history and lecture us about what our country stands for. So celebrate today. Show some American pride. Honor your history. Raise your flag. Raise a finger and say, "F you, communists. This is our home, and you can't have it."
Amen. It's not blind nationalism, but a defiant gratitude for a country where a person can still rise, where the working class built the strongest middle class the world has ever known, and where freedom remains the most radical idea of all. The DSA and the communists offer the opposite. Perpetual grievance, open borders that dilute solidarity, and policies that punish success while pretending to elevate the downtrodden. They call themselves democratic socialists, but the Democratic Party and the Democrat part, window dressing. Their success hinges on eroding the cultural and historical foundations that make self-government possible. America's exceptionalism was never merely about wealth or power, though those things did follow. It was the radical notion that rights come from God or nature, not government, that the individual precedes the state, that ordinary people like you and I, not central planners, are best equipped to run this country and our lives. Pretending that nothing is fixed rejects all of that. It opens the door to constant revolution against the permanent things. Family, number one. Faith, enterprise, and country. You see, the family and faith are the core of this country. The working class understands this in their bones. They know socialism doesn't deliver refrigerators, reliable energy, or rising wages. It delivers shortages, rationing, and excuses. Look at Cuba. History's ledger is soaked in the fares and body counts of similar experiments, yet the DSA presses on, embedding itself in one of our major parties, capturing local offices, and training young activists to view their own country as the great obstacle to progress. To the DSA, I say your revolution is not inevitable. Millions of Americans, workers, families, veterans, and dreamers still believe in this country. We see the beauty in what our forebears built and promise is still ahead. We'll not apologize for our flag, our history, or our success. We will defend them. Trust me. America does not need to be dismantled. It needs to be renewed by those who love her enough to tell the truth. Fix what's broken. Pass on something better to the next generation. God bless the United States of America, not as empty ritual, but as a living commitment. The radicals may chant against her, but the people who built this nation will stand for her. And we are many. Trust me on that. Did you know that most people don't get enough DHA, the key nutrient your brain relies on for memory and focus? DHA is necessary for healthy brain function and may help support heart health and metabolic health. In fact, inadequate DHA levels in the brain have been linked to Alzheimer's disease. The good news is that longevity contains 180 milligrams DHA, 250 milligrams of omega-3 oils per serving. Longevity is a complete nutritional support shake that gives you everything you need to age well. We use it in this house every single day. LongevityWellness.co. Go there. Enter the promo code Gruber at checkout for a special discount. LongevityWellness.co. Promo code's Gruber. You'll thank me. Send me an email. I'll be right back. All right. I spoke of this a moment ago, and I want to just tell you a little bit more about it. The Federal Reserve has a working paper. The Federal Reserve has a working paper that says the cost of a house was boosted 30% and rent by 20% because of the millions of illegals allowed in, welcomed in by the previous administration. The paper combined immigration court records with government administrative data to create the first ever calculation of how a wave of 7 million at least between 21 and 24. I think the number is much higher. The official number is 7 million. And how it impacted local labor and housing markets. Here's what they write. From early 2021 to early 2024, the United States experienced an unprecedented boom in unauthorized immigration, followed by a rapid slowdown beginning mid-2024. We provide the first systematic empirical assessment of the labor and housing market effects of this episode. The total weighted mean increases in house price and rents over this period were 22.4 and 22.6%, respectively. Putting these together for the average can explain approximately 30% of the total increase in housing prices and 20% of the total increases in rent. So the Democrats sit there and complain about Donald Trump or Republicans or conservatives or all of the above about affordability, and yet it was their very actions that triggered the increase in expense of some of the most basic things: rent, a mortgage payment, groceries, all of it. By the way, 10,000 arrests in a 5-day period and deportations from the Trump administration. 2,000 people a day in a 5-day period. 10,000 illegals swept up in a 5-day span. Trump accelerating the deportation push, as he should, as his administration should. Is it enough? No, but it's a nice little stretch. Let's repeat that again today and tomorrow. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, so energy has been the center of Donald Trump's policies, both here and globally. Oil today sits beneath $70 a barrel again today. It's been there for quite some time. In fact, oil today at this moment is at $69. Gasoline prices continue to fall, but it's not enough. $3.79 the national average now. Dana Fritgott-Roth is a nationally recognized economist, energy policy expert who served in senior White House and cabinet level roles under Presidents Reagan H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. She's a distinguished fellow at the EPRINC and a leading voice of free market economic policy. She joins me now. Nice to see you this morning, Diana.
Great to be with you, Steve.
And I see in places like Britain, Germany, France, they have energy challenges. I mean, you have a heat wave in the summer, man, they're slammed. You have a cold snap in the winter, they're slammed. Is this a warning for America? Because I hope if it is that we are getting the memo. Your thoughts?
Well, right now, under President Trump, we have an agenda, an energy dominance agenda that says move ahead on all fronts with all kinds of energy. So right now, we are in no danger of being like Europe. But under President Biden, where offshore drilling was forbidden, where it was discouraged from getting fossil fuels, where renewables were encouraged, but the backups were discouraged, that was a recipe for disaster for us. It's a recipe for disaster for Europe.
Could a new Democrat president take us back to Biden policies? Because it seems to me it's been shown to be pretty clear. I mean, the price of people's monthly electric bills are through the roof. The cost of everything is through the roof. And the biggest driver of inflation is energy prices. I don't think they can go back to the Biden administration policies, but I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
I think the focus now is on artificial intelligence, keeping us ahead of China. And I think this is a bipartisan view. I mean, look, Steve, years ago, I used to write that we need more energy so that you and I could have lower electricity bills. That just didn't hold any water. Now, when we say we need more energy for AI to stay ahead of China, people sit up and listen. And we have major providers. We have Facebook, we have Amazon, we have Google. They all want more energy. So I think that there's more push for more energy. But people in communities, even though they want to use the air conditioning, they love doing Google searches, they sometimes are against energy in their neighborhood. So we need to think of a solution. We need to get together with communities and get a solution to this to keep our positive energy agenda moving forward. And
my
the answer,
solution, if I might offer it, has been the same for decades. I've had the same. We need more nuclear, and now we always have. My entire life. When it takes 25 years to get a nuclear plant, through the process of filling out all the forms and all the regulation nonsense, that's wrong. And now we have modular nuclear, Diana, which, if it is scaled, could run cities or AI facilities or anything else. As far as I'm concerned, you could have a nuclear reactor the size of a toaster to run my house. I mean, this is not far-fetched science fiction anymore. It's here, isn't it?
President Trump has approved small modular nuclear reactors. We don't have any yet, but we expect to get some online. It's a very promising technology. You can even put them on ships in harbors and have the power piped to the shore. And this nuclear reactor will just look like a ship. So there is so much potential for nuclear power. And President Trump has passed 3 separate executive orders to make it easier to bring nuclear power plants online. We used to be able to build one in 5 years. Now it takes 10 to 15. It should not be like that.
Well, modular nuclear, I don't mean to be contrary, but it's been the reality for years. Our warships, our aircraft carriers, our submarines are all nuclear powered. Those are obviously modular nuclear power plants. If we could run the USS Gerald R. Ford, we can run a city. We can run an AI center. We can run all sorts of things on that exact model. And I did see one get on a C-130 and fly from California to Utah recently. So we're right on the cusp, aren't we?
We really are, but it's a different grade nuclear fuel and nuclear power plant. What we have in the submarines is what we are going to get in the small modular nuclear reactors. But this is something that's been talked about for decades. Now I hope that the time has come.
I hope so as well. Meanwhile, we continue to lead the world in production of oil and natural gas. We need to be able to use what we have at our fingertips we've got it in spades, Diana. We produce more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. Our liquefied natural gas exports continue to increase. Our production of hydrocarbons continues to increase. We should stay on that path as well, should we not?
We really should. We're up to 14 million barrels a day. That's more oil and natural gas than we've ever got before. And we need more permitting to be able to get it out of the ground. We need to be prepared for the next conflict in the Middle East. This is a ceasefire. We don't know when it's going to erupt again. And we need to have more energy. We need to be filling the strategic petroleum reserve. We need to make sure that we are ready, because Iran is still is saying that it's going to put tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. We don't know when the next conflict's going to start.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Energy supplies have also been reordered under this president. Began in Venezuela January the 2nd. It has continued. Regardless of your opinion on the Iranian war, we are reordering energy markets around the world. We've gotten rid of BRICS for all intents and purposes. China has been the loser here, losing those supplies from Venezuela and Iran in large part. And America now, in effect, controlling the flow of oil around the world. Last word to you. It's really important, isn't it?
Basically, the world and our country runs on energy. We can see our economic growth in comparison to Europe. We have high growth. Europe has very slow growth, mostly because it's net zero policies. Europe is committing economic suicide. We do not want to follow in Europe's path. We want to be the world's leader in energy.
Absolutely true. We don't want to follow Europe anywhere. They're going the wrong way. Anna, nice to see you today. Thank you.
Great to be with you.
Always good to be with you as well. Speaking of gasoline prices, Indiana continues to lead the charge. Good policies in Indiana. The average price of gasoline in Indiana, $3.05, which means many stations are under $3 now. You can go to places like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Louisiana, all of those states close to $3 a gallon, some stations below. It's good news. Meanwhile, I'm just north of Indiana. My gas $1 a gallon higher than it is in Indiana, in Michigan. Bad policies lead to bad outcomes for the consumer. You know what led to good outcomes last night? The Ghost Bed. That's right, the Ghost Bed, the American-made sleeping system. It's the best there is. Trust me, I believe that. I switched to Ghost Bed about 4 months ago. I sleep like a stone. I looked today when I got up. The bed was barely ruffled. I don't move around. I'm not restless. I get deep sleep. I get crowns from my sleep studies that I do every night. They're still offering their 4th of July savings, an extra 10% off for you, my audience, at ghostbed.com, promo code Gruber. Go to ghostbed.com/Gruber, promo code Gruber. You're going to save 10%. And you've got 101 nights. If you don't like it, call them up. They'll pick it up. No questions asked. Ghostbed.com, promo code Gruber. Back after this. President Trump on the move again today, headed to the NATO summit in Turkey. Obviously, the Iran war, whatever it is at this stage of the conversation, will be front and center with his conversations with Turkey and NATO allies. Obviously, this created a lot of tension because a lot of nations, Spain and Italy, Spain primarily, would not allow the use of American bases or overflights from the United States Air Force. So the summit taking place in Ankara, Turkey today and tomorrow. The Spanish Prime Minister, a socialist, Pedro Sanchez, has called the U.S. war on Iran illegal, absurd, and cruel. The U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, said Wednesday of last week that Trump remains disappointed by allies that declined to allow U.S. forces to use military bases or overflight rights. Those disagreements expected to be large in the room. Trump's frustration has been pretty obvious on the world stage. He says his biggest reason to go is to speak to the Turkish President Erdogan. Except for the fact that I was being held in Turkey by President Erdogan, I don't think I would have gone. During the same appearance, he renewed criticism of Spain. There's a problem with Spain. Yeah, they're run by a socialist. That'd be a problem with Spain. You know, the UK initially declined to allow U.S. forces to launch strikes against Iran from British bases before reversing course, and later even offered some warships, as did France after the bulk of the fighting was over. Gee, guys, thanks. Appreciate your help. We'll see how this all plays out over the next couple of days. Expect some fiery comments from the president. I do. We'll see how that plays out. And how would you feel if it was not Donald Trump on Air Force One heading to Turkey, but somebody like Kamala Harris? Well, some Georgia voters sat down and were asked about that recently. Voters that supported Kamala Harris in 2024. She is the leading candidate, according to the polling, for the Democrats heading into 2028. Kamala Harris is the front runner today. Will that remain? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Here's what the voters said about Kamala Harris when asked. Listen.
Thinking about the next election, so this would be in 2028. Kamala Harris. Would you vote for her in the next election? Now, I noticed some of you, I think, voted for her last time, Michael.
Yeah, I would not. The only reason why I voted for her because her name was on the ticket. But again, and I didn't want to vote for Trump. But again, I think she was kind of like the Hail Mary pass at the end of that the way that the Democrats kind of went through that. I felt like we were cheated out of a primary. Biden said he wasn't going to run again, and he did.
Yep. And
he shouldn't have ran. I can agree with anyone on that.
She was a token.
She was beyond a token. She was a, yeah.
I've got another option for you guys.
Or giggle.
I would say she doesn't stand much of a chance in that room. Kamala Harris, word salad, cackling, and laughing inappropriately. Yeah, she'd be great at the NATO summit. She'd really project American strength. Give me a break. Bill Maher. Fascinating case study, isn't it? Bill Maher, the guy who had dinner with President Trump, said, it's not at all what I expected. A guy who has openly opposed President Trump at every turn. And despite all of that, the thing that frightens Bill Maher more than Donald Trump are these socialists, these communists, these DSA members we were talking about at the top of the program. They frighten him more. In fact, he continues to chart his way out of the Democrat Party. Every weekend when he talks and does his show or does his podcast, they're looking for the exit. He's looking for the exit. I mean, what would you have to support in the Democrat Party today? Defund the police? Fund illegal aliens? Listen to Bill Maher.
Oh, the woke hate me. I get
The
along.
woke hate.
Exactly. They just hate. It's an animating feature of their life.
Yeah.
Is to feel superior to people who are morally inferior because they don't agree with them 100% on everything. So that means you are, of course, morally inferior. And I just won't buy it. I don't go along, and that's okay. The people who love me love my dirty draws. They really do. They do anything for me. They literally say to me, thank you for your service all the time when I'm out. So the people who hate me, you know, it's just like it just balances out.
Yeah.
You know, and if I thought that the people who hate me ever like made an honest argument, they're the people who won't talk to me. The conservatives, who I don't vote with or agree on many things, they're always happy to talk. It's the woke people who are like, because they're not really that bright or learned about what the things they're arguing about, so they don't want to argue with me.
Woke people are not that bright. He's right. Woke people are not that bright. They don't want to talk to me. Conservatives, of course I'll talk to you, Bill. May not agree with you completely, but I'll talk to you. And, you know, keep an eye on things. I'm keeping an eye on a live feed out of Ankara, Turkey. President Trump expected to arrive in the near future and be on the ground for that NATO summit we were just talking about. You can see the live feed there from Ankara, Turkey, with the president a lot to talk about. It's the presidential compound there. So a lot of people milling around and trying to figure out where the president. There it is. There's Air Force One coming in. That's what we were waiting for. Got a glimpse is going to come out from behind the Mark Carney's plane from Canada. Not nearly as nice as Air Force One, no, is it?
Our plane is better.
Our plane is better because our plane's better than any plane in the world. That's right. So Air Force One touching down, Ankara, Turkey. Look at that big, beautiful beast. We'll check back in after the break to see if the president will make his way off. He won't be off that quickly, but we'll look at it again when we come back right here on Daybreak. Come on, before it goes behind the other planes. Come on. Air Force One sliding in. Look at that, flying the flag as she comes in. Of course she does. You know why? Because we're Americans. That's why. I love this country. You know, and I see the plane land, and I said to Anthony during the break, I said, they're flying the flag out the window. You audacious sons of guns. I love that. I absolutely love that. America's here. That's right. We're flying our flag all the way into Turkey. You're darn right we are. Big, beautiful Air Force One flying the flag. Right out there for the cameras. I mean, man knows how to sell it, I'll tell you that. Now, you don't have to like him. And you may think that he's controlled by other people. Look, I hear all these people on social media telling you he's controlled by this, he's controlled by that. But I look at this and I say, look, we're still the biggest dog on the block. That's, you know, Toby Keith has been number one in the I watch the iTunes charts a lot these days because of One Nation. By the way, thank you for driving it to number 2 last week. One Nation, the song by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. If you don't have it yet, you should. But at any rate, Toby Keith has been in the top. Alan Jackson in the top, Remember When. John Denver, of course, Country Roads. These are the songs that are number one in the charts. But you know why? Because people still love this country. I still love this country, and I always will. And it's not because I love government or politicians. No, I love the people and the ideals and what we believe collectively as people. When I see that plane coming in, flying the flag, I just go, I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to leave you with that for a moment as we go into the break. Lock in for another hour here on Daybreak. Remember, you can always send me emails, stevegruber.com, stevegruber.com. Guess the photographer wanted to get a little tight shot there. We'll be right back.
There's this America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now on Real America's Voice.
All right, and welcome to it. Glad to have you back for another big hour here of the program. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the accused killer of Charlie Kirk in a Utah courtroom Monday. Charlie's widow and family looked on. It begins a hard week for those watching the trial begin to take shape. Number two, 10,000 illegal aliens were arrested in a 5-day span at the end of June. A major spike in the efforts to send those here illegally out of the country as fast as possible. President Trump working on that. And number three, let's just go live watching for President Trump to come off Air Force One. We'll get to Graham Plattner here in a second. Watching the president coming off from Air Force One. We'll wait for that. When he comes down, we'll cut back to it. But let's go back to Graham Plattner. Anthony put his lovely picture up there on the screen because Graham Plattner is in real trouble. He is the Democrat nominee for Senate in the state of Maine. He has had more disqualifying events than anybody that I can remember. Had a Totenkopf tattoo. He's since had it covered, but for 18 years he had a Nazi tattoo. It's the tattoo preferred by the Nazi prison guards. And then there were comments from women saying he was reckless and he knew what the tattoo was, and a lot of red flags about his behavior, and now accused of rape. From 5 years ago, an ex-girlfriend says she was raped by Graham Plattner when he was drunk out of his mind, maybe blackout drunk, I think she said. Now, the Democratic Senate committee says they will not support him. Ro Khanna has pulled back support. Chuck Schumer, these people were willing to look the other way completely at Graham Plattner. Oh, we don't care. He's been accused of being rough with women. We don't care. We need to beat Trump. Well, Graham Plattner came out last night and gave it the full Swalwell effect. Listen to this.
Mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins. Those were the goals when we launched this campaign, and they remain my goals today.
Janet Mills, the governor of the state of Maine, ran against Plattner and got killed. I mean, absolutely slaughtered by him. He's a socialist, a communist, a guy who hates America. He served in the military, and so what? I've got a news flash for you. Everybody that serves in the military is not a hero. All right, just so we're clear on that. Everybody that serves in the military is not a hero. Many are. In fact, I'd say most are. But not all, as evidenced by this clown, right? And he was endorsed by everybody on the left. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Elizabeth Warren, one of his biggest champions. On the campaign trail for this guy, who they all knew was bad news. They didn't care. They'll look the other way. They don't care. If they thought he could win, they didn't care. Here is Elizabeth Warren.
Wow, it is so good to be here in Maine. I am here because Washington needs fighters, and Graham Plattner is the fighter we need. You bet.
She actually went on to say, Graham Plattner is my kind of guy. Really, Liz? Democrats, frauds. Elizabeth Warren, who pretended to be Native American for decades to get job placements and advancements. Complete joke. You wonder why the New York Times is in such bad shape? People like Charles Blow. He's a columnist there. Last night on television, he continued to defend Graham Plattner. He continued to defend Graham Plattner despite everything we know now. This is what's wrong with the New York Times and media. Listen.
Charles?
Well, the first thing I always want to say in situations like this is that it sounds horrible, and we deserve to hear her more of her case. If she wants to pursue other actions, I think she should be encouraged to do that, and we should wait to hear more of her case. But the second thing I want to say is that we continue to have a situation where Democrats and Republicans are playing by completely separate rule books. The idea that this would push him out of the race, maybe that's the right thing to do. But, Donald Trump was found liable of sexually abusing a woman.
Right.
And then 8 months later, a separate jury found him guilty of liable for defamation of her. And then 10 months after that, he was still elected.
Right. Did any Republican you've ever heard of sport an actual Nazi tattoo? An actual Nazi tattoo. The one worn by prison guards. Do you ever remember that happening? No, of course not, because if a Republican had a Nazi tattoo, they wouldn't make it past Monday. They'd be out. Democrats don't care. They don't care. Defeat Trump at any cost. The same reason they're embracing communists and socialists and democratic socialists, the DSA nonsense. They'd rather put in failed policies of Zoran Mamdani or this Mayor Katie Wilson out in Seattle. They'd rather have those policies that hurt the American people, that hurt the working man and woman of this country. If that's what it takes to beat Trump, they don't care what their policies are. They don't stand for anything, apparently, as long as it's against Trump. Live look at Air Force One again as we wait for the president to depart. Air Force One is on the ground in Ankara, Turkey, at the presidential compound. The plane just came in. Brand new Air Force One. There it is. We'll try to keep you updated as this morning continues. I don't know if I expect him to say anything today. Probably not. But you never know with him. Sometimes he just wants the microphone. And why wouldn't he? I will keep an eye on that. This part of the program brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus. Stop concussions before they ever happen. Dr. Michael Hutchinson patented a breakthrough mouth guard for athletes in every sport. It's a real game changer. Athletes using NeuroGuard Plus suffer concussions just 0.26% of the time. That's right, just 0.26% of the time, almost zero. And it gets better. This mouth guard can boost your strength and speed up to 16%. Lift more weight, run higher, jump faster. Yeah. Don't just take my word for it. Michigan State and Wayne State have tested and certified the results. Protect your brain and upgrade your performance. Jump faster, run higher. Yeah, you got me. Go to NeuroGuardPlus.com. Save 10% with the promo code Gruber. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Look, my kid's been wearing this in football for years now. No concussions. I'm just one guy, but my kid won't get on the football field without it. NeuroGuardPlus.com. I'll continue after this. All right, President Trump has arrived in Ankara, Turkey. He was met by the president of Turkey, Erdogan, as he has now departed Air Force One. It's a two-day NATO summit that'll happen today and tomorrow. President Trump saying the only reason he went to Turkey was because Erdogan was there and he likes him. And so you can see the two together here. We'll keep a close eye on that. I don't expect the president to make remarks this morning, but we will see. We'll keep an eye on it and jump back to it if needed. There's the president. All right. Let's come back for a moment. He's making a quick comment to the president of Turkey there, so we'll check back if he addresses the press. Meanwhile, joining me now is Missy Malone, My Pure Health. You can find out more at gruberhealth.com. Missy, good morning. I'm sorry you got stopped by the president for a moment.
No better entrance is that, President Trump. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. Look, health freedom. That's what we're talking about today, health freedom. Because people go onto these weight loss programs, they get the shot, these things don't work, and then suddenly they're back at the same weight they were. They're frustrated. It's gone on for years, but it's not really their fault, is it?
No, it's not their fault, Steve. No one is ever challenged. We've never been challenged to ask ourselves what causes our metabolism to work to begin with. And what I'm here to tell you is that your metabolism can be turned off, and you didn't know that there's an on-off switch on the inside of the body of yours. And that's what we do. We help turn the metabolism back on because you've got to get to the root of the problem. Most people are under the assumption that it's all about the food that you eat, the sugar, no carbs, Mediterranean diet, Weight Watchers. It has nothing to do with it. It's an inside story. There are systems inside the human body that controls whether or not your metabolism is working, turned on, or turned off. It's not working. So our job is to turn it back on and to help people get their lives back, get off medication and everything else that's been their health freedom. Exactly.
Yeah, you make a great point. Shots, shakes, prepackaged meals, keto exercise plans, diet after diet, they all lead back to the same place, starting over. All they need to do is talk to you, Missy. I did it in 2018. I jump-started my metabolism. That's the way it is, right?
Absolutely. You think of it like you said, I love the word jumpstart. I use it a lot. Like jumper cables come in and they jumpstart that dead battery in your car if you left your lights on. The same thing can happen inside the human body. And thanks to men like Nikola Tesla, who showed us how cells work and how communication works from the inside out. So that's exactly it. This is why all roads do lead the same place. You use this thing, you stop using the thing, and you gain all your weight back, whatever it is that you try to do.
So what actually controls your metabolism? You say it's not calories, it's not my age, it's not exercise, it's not willpower. So what is it?
Oh, it's actually 2,800 systems on the inside of the body that's actually making sure that your metabolism is working. It's organs, it's hormones, it's stress has an impact on it, toxins, lots of toxins. That health freedom, part of RFK Jr.'s pledge is to get rid of the crap chemicals and all the junk that's in our food that is causing part of the issue right there. That's part of the problem. So yeah, it's a whole list of things that could be going on the inside of the body that's causing your metabolism to be turned off. And it doesn't matter how old you are. We just need to figure out what's causing your metabolism to be turned off, and we need to turn it on naturally.
Yeah. Why are you different? I mean, look, there's all these programs out there making all these big promises that often fall through. But for me, and look, I was the biggest skeptic in the world, folks. I was. I didn't believe anything was needed. And I said, yeah, okay, so you're going to scan my body, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But it worked. I lost 47 pounds. It was a remarkable turnaround. Why are you different?
Because everybody, you need a customized approach to a unique situation going on the inside of your body. If you're being scammed by people telling you to eat 5 meals a day, drink half your body weight in water, and, walk on your tiptoes, or take this shot, or take this pill, or you are unique. And what is going on the inside of the body needs to be customized to what it is that your system needs to turn your metabolism on. That's why we're different. We're not a one-size-fits-all dog and pony show. You have to have a unique approach to your unique set of circumstances, and it's natural.
And it wasn't just me. You have real people that get real results. You can see the folks here that have had real results. Tell me, how does this make you feel? You've changed lives, Missy.
Oh, Steve, thanks to you, people all over, and shout out to BJ. She said to say hi to her. I'm telling you, people are getting off of blood pressure medication, type 2. I mean, I don't care if you've been a type 2 for 30 years. You're more than likely not going to need that medication in 40 days. Your body is so amazing. It just needs to have the right system to look at it, address it, and turn it back on. So men and women, within 40 days, most people get off their sleep apnea machine, high blood pressure medication, type 2 diabetic medication. Eczema, psoriasis, those are skin disruptions because of systems inside the body aren't working. Your sleep, you get your life back. This is what I'm talking about, is health freedom. If you are on medications, you are attached to the sick care model that America has made.
That's right. And they're making a lot of money. But right now, you're going to save people a lot of money. 25% off to the folks listening to Daybreak today. 25% off. Go to gruberhealth.com. Book a free consultation. See if it's a good fit. All natural, real food. You don't even need exercise. Turn your metabolism back on. 25% off today, folks, at gruberhealth.com. Missy, I appreciate what you've done to save people. I see the emails here as well.
Yeah.
You've changed people's lives.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank God bless you, Steve. Thanks for spreading the word. People are literally, they praise you. I love your listeners. I've been loving talking to them for 8 years. So call me. You don't need a credit card. I'm not going to follow you. I'm not one of those ambulance chasers.
Right.
You call, you find out whether or not this fits for you, and then you choose whether you do it or not.
Let's get it done. Missy, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Gruberhealth.com, 25% off. Your consultation to find out if you're a good fit is free. Gruberhealth.com. I'll be right back. Tyler Robinson, the 23-year-old man accused of murdering Charlie Kirk on September the 10th, 2025 on a Utah campus, back in a Utah courtroom yesterday as they start to lay out the groundwork for this trial that's coming. He could face the death penalty. During testimony yesterday, an officer took the stand. Officer Chris Badgley described hearing a rifle shot and watching Charlie Kirk collapse during an event at Utah Valley University. In attendance was Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, his mother and father, and other family members as well. They did leave at two different points in the testimony because they didn't want to hear or see the video. They'd heard and seen enough. He faces the death penalty if convicted. He was seen smiling while talking to his attorney in court at various points. Shackled at the wrists and ankles in a gray suit was Tyler Robinson. What is the truth here? A lot of people have questions about this murder. The officer testifying that he heard the rifle shot and then later investigated and found what he described as a sniper's pad on top of the building where Tyler Robinson is alleged to have pulled the trigger on the fatal shot. It seems that the evidence so far, despite all of the interest on social media, including from some conservative commentators, that Charlie Kirk was killed at the behest of the Israeli government. So far, I've seen no evidence of that. I'm open to whatever the truth is. So far, it's Occam's razor. The most obvious explanation, the easiest explanation, is often correct. Still a sad day. Charlie Kirk was a force of nature. I was live on the air when he died. We were here, live on television. Tough day. September the 10th. We'll keep an eye. He's back in court for the rest of the week, I believe, so we'll have updates for you daily. And lots of live coverage. I'll take a break and be right back.
Somewhere around 400.
Getting back into it now. America's allies in Asia want nuclear submarines. I mean, in order to compete militarily, you kind of need those things. The question is, how do we get it done? And how do we deliver? Well, Brent Sadler is a senior research fellow for naval warfare and advanced technology in the Allison Center for National Security. He joins me now to discuss it in detail. Brent, nice to see you this morning.
Likewise, and good morning.
Good morning. So America's Asian allies Who are we talking about? Japan, the Philippines? Who is on this list?
So Australia is already engaged in a deal to develop a nuclear submarine with the United States and the UK. The new entrant is South Korea, whose Blue House, their equivalent of our White House, has recently stated that they're going to go and develop their own indigenous nuclear submarine. They're going to be looking to the United States on the fuel part of that submarine. The Japanese in the past have also expressed an interest, and it wouldn't be surprising if the issue comes back up in the Diet there in Tokyo over the course of the next few weeks. But those are the principal three. Those are the big Asian allies that we rely on in the Western Pacific that have a very sizable navies at the same time.
Right. So, all right. So, if they do this, my concerns recently with South Korea is that their political atmosphere seems a little bit unsettled, shall I say. What do you say about that, Brent?
Well, I think when it comes, if looking past the politics, which is always a good thing to look at when you're looking at national security interests, South Korea and the United States are still very much aligned on a lot of issues when it comes to security. And in that regard, the relationship, the bilateral security relationship is pretty solid. There are concerns with South Korea taking on a nuclear submarine program. One is proliferation, which they seem to address and using low enriched uranium in this endeavor. The other is, where will they be able to pull the manpower and the industrial might that still has limits there to kind of put it into a nuclear submarine, because they still have a lot of North Koreans they have to worry about. And a nuclear submarine doesn't really address all of that. And again, it would lean back on the United States military presence at a time that we're trying to refocus our efforts on China.
What do the North Koreans possess? That's the question, the natural question right there. What do we know about their capabilities when it comes to such military hardware?
Well, most of what the North Koreans have is land-based and special forces. The intent is that they would launch a war of aggression against the South if triggered, and that would be a mass wave of armor as well as massive special forces infiltration across the peninsula to try to overwhelm the defenses. But if they don't succeed early, much like Putin made the gamble in Ukraine, they know they're going to lose in the long fight because South Korea is just too modern and also too capable of a military, because it's fairly balanced right now. And that's really the threat from North Korea. There's been a lot also about its nuclear weapons program, which has been threatening and also proceeding apace. The biggest thing in the news lately is the development of their own nuclear submarine, suspected with the help of the Russians in providing the nuclear power plant for this nuclear-armed SSB or SSBN that they're developing.
Let me ask you this. The United States builds its military ships, its naval warships, in Maine and Mississippi primarily, correct? And my question is there benefit to the American defense industry from these sorts of deals coming to fruition?
This is where kind of there's an opportunity with the South Koreans and perhaps the Japanese in this nuclear submarine deal. There are a lot of, Virginia, California, Rhode Island, there's a lot of shipbuilding that's tied to the federal government here in the United States that benefits from this. But with regards to the nuclear power aspect of the submarine, perhaps the best option is to develop small modular reactors, because already in Japan and South Korea, they have got pretty robust conventional submarine programs, and the boats that they're building are fairly big. On the scale of our early era nuclear submarines, 3,000 to 4,000 tons to be exact. And so it's better to try to iterate their designs, and a small modular reactor is a great way to do that, because you can actually easily scale it to put into what they've already built and with the people and expertise they have. On the U.S. side, the benefit is we're trying to regain our competitive edge in the global shipbuilding market that's necessary to revive our naval shipbuilding. And so the small modular reactor is an American comparative advantage that's already being developed. It's in Idaho. There have been several that have passed their initial criticality test, which is a massive milestone to achieve for new designs of these highly automated enclosed reactors, again, that have use on commercial shipping. And it would be a game changer in global logistics.
Yeah. We already have, obviously, our ships are nuclear powered. All of our big ships and submarines are nuclear powered. So to me, it seems like a fairly short path to getting South Korea what they want, to help others get what they want. Is it, am I simplifying it too much, I guess is what I'm asking you, Brent. Am I making it too simple? Is it a shorter path or is it a longer path? What are your thoughts?
Well, whenever doing anything with shipbuilding and nuclear power, it's going to be a long path in several years or a decade endeavor. The AUKUS program with the Australians started in September 2021. Took 18 months or so to get just the planning done for that to just move, and that's not the design of the next boat or the building of the next design. So it's gonna be a generational endeavor, even if the South Koreans decide to do what I think is the optimum pathway for them, and that is the development of small modular reactor. And that's leveraging a lot of money that's already flowing in the United States to develop these new class of reactors, new forms of fueling that would be useful and safer for commercial use, but could be scaled for a South Korean and a Japanese submarine. It's the best of both worlds right now, but trying to develop what we put on our nuclear submarines and nuclear aircraft carriers, scale it for a new South Korean submarine, that's a huge and risky endeavor in my estimation from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, a lot of work to do here, but with the focus on China and with everything that this president has done to address the Chinese threat, which is real, obviously, by controlling global energy markets, to expanding with Australia first and others to follow, these are all critical steps in making sure that China doesn't expand its influence, shall we say. Last word to you.
No, China is the premier threat, and it needs to be taken seriously as that. And only in the last few years have we really started to see a change in that from both political parties. And thanks to President Trump, I mean, there's real movement in what has been the hardest to get started, that's shipbuilding, and also partnering with our allies in the same endeavor. And that's actually going to raise costs on the Chinese. At the same time, it's going to ensure a lot of economic resiliency with allied and American shipping, keeping our economy safe and secure from Chinese influence, which right now the Chinese dominate.
That's the concern. Brent Sadler, thank you for explaining it to us. We're close, but we're not there yet. Work to be done. Sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. We'll take a break. I've got a big announcement after the break that I want to share with you. We're going to go ahead and toot our own horn around here, all right? Somebody has to do it. I'll be right back.
We eliminated
Well, I have an announcement here that's kind of fun. As you know, Ivy and I partnered with Laura Kokenauer here recently and put together Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project and released our first song, One Nation. It was released on the 26th of June. And we just got a report from Billboard that we made the top 10 as an upstart. Number 6 for the week. Ella Langley's killing me, but there it is, folks. Number 6 from Billboard. We made the chart, which is pretty remarkable considering we've never done anything like this before in our lives. But between myself and Ivy and then the genius of Laura Kokenauer, we got it done. I think it's a beautiful song. It's about this country. It's about faith and family and the sacrifice it took to get us 250 years down the line. You can still download it on all the streaming platforms, iTunes, Amazon. You can see the official video on YouTube at Steve Gruber. Go to Steve Gruber, go to YouTube. You can click down through our posts and you can find the official video. I think you'll enjoy it. For those of you that love America, you will love this song, One Nation. I am so proud of what we've done here to finish in the top 10. Pretty remarkable, actually. Pretty remarkable. Anthony, you still got that promo up your sleeve?
From prayer to purpose to a promise that still stands. From Rav's own Steve Gruber comes One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. A powerful new American anthem for the 4th of July. Faith, freedom, and unity in every line. A new release through Real America's Music. One Nation. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project on iTunes.
One nation under God, may we always be the home of the brave and the land of the free. For every battle, blood was lost. God bless America, sea to shining sea.
So thank you for supporting us. You know, compare and contrast that to the Democratic Socialists of America, or to the Democrat Party today, who want to take shots at America, who want to insult America, who want to claim that we're irredeemable, that somehow we're based on racism and slavery. Yeah, we have some bad episodes in our past. But our Constitution and the Founding Fathers created a system by which we could always move higher and do better. By God, we did it. But I want you to hear this. I want to compare One Nation and Loving America to The View. Yeah, to The View. Apparently, the American flag makes them fearful. I can't make it up. Listen to this garbage.
And I said this on this show many, many years ago, because this is my 10th year on the show, and I said there are times when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over the community, and I suddenly feel unsafe because there is a section of this country that has co-opted the American flag, and they equate being an American or an American flag with white supremacy, and that should never be the symbol of white supremacy, but they have weaponized.
Because the flag belongs to all of us.
It does belong to all of us. But those men were wearing
What
flags
fools.
on their
What absolute fools. The American flag represents freedom, which is why 20 million people came here illegally during the Biden administration. They voted with their feet. If you thought that the American flag was about white supremacy, you think they'd really flock here by the millions? These people might be close to irredeemable. If it was I mean, all you have to do is go look at social media. And the people that are visiting America from all over the world for the FIFA World Cup Championship, the World Cup tournament, and listen to their love for America, who say they were lied to by the media in their own countries. Of course they were. America's this terrible, dangerous place, gunfights in the streets and racists behind every tree. Wrong. Wrong answer. Racism is wildly overstated because in order to facilitate this machine, like the Southern Poverty Law Center, and these machines, they fundraise off from victims. It's all they do. They fundraise. There have to be victims. That's why they cry racism all the time. It's not about helping anybody. It's about raising money. It's about raising lots of money, millions of dollars. I mean, we know now that the Southern Poverty Law Center basically set up the whole Charlottesville scam and doubled the receipts. They doubled the amount of money that they had coming in the door by creating the illusion that Charlottesville was some sort of racist, love fest, some racist orgy of hateful people. It was staged. It was performative. It was bullshit. That's what that was. There you have it. Anyhow, thanks again to everybody for supporting One Nation, supporting this nation. We made Billboard. It's mind-blowing to me. The trophy's in the mail. We'll take a break and be right back. For 250 All right, speaking of FIFA, tough day for America. Here's Brock Palmbush with sports.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The United States run at the World Cup is now over as the Americans lost to Belgium 4-1 in the round of 16 last night at Lumen Field in Seattle. Malik Tillman scored the U.S.'s only goal late in the first half. Belgium will play Spain in the quarterfinals later this week. Speaking of Spain, they beat Portugal yesterday in the round of 16, 1-0 in Dallas. Portuguese legend Cristiano Ronaldo announced on Sunday that this would be his final World Cup. At Wimbledon yesterday, fourth-round action concluded. American Taylor Fritz moved on to the quarterfinals on the men's side with a straight-set victory. On the women's side, Americans Madison Keys and Ashlyn Kruger were both beaten. Quarterfinal matches begin today. And in Major League Baseball, there were only 8 games yesterday. American League winners were the New York Yankees and Kansas City. National League winners included Washington and Milwaukee. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you. I mean, the Americans didn't just lose, Brock. 4-1 in the World Cup is getting blown out.
Yep. They got dominated. Belgium completely outplayed them almost from the jump.
Why?
Disappointing. But they ran into a better team, and the better team played like it.
Did we think that going in, that they were the better? I thought the Americans had a pretty good team. I thought that's...
The Americans are very good, but they just can't seem to be able to compete or beat the top-level teams in Europe. And Belgium played like a top-level team last night. All credit to them.
Yeah, there you go. So who's up for Belgium?
Spain. They beat Portugal yesterday. So it's going to be it's going to be a real interesting quarterfinal set coming up here. There's 2 more round of 16 games today.
All right. There you have it. America takes it on the chin, unfortunately. All right. Brock, thank you. Even after Donald Trump weighed in and got a suspension lifted, not enough. Anyhow, good enough. We'll take a break and be back with another hour. This is Daybreak. Thank you for all the support on everything we do. It's usually about $1 more.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now.
All right, let's just jump into another big hour here of the program. Glad to see you on a Tuesday. Here are 3 big things you need to know this hour as we're fighting for you from the Foxhole Freedom. Number 1, gas prices continue to trickle down. Oil still below $70 a barrel for days on end now. Number 2, President Trump has arrived in Ankara, Turkey for a 2-day NATO summit. Of course, the Iran war looms large in the background of that. And number 3, I have to ask, what is going on in these cities that they continue to allow these congregations of teenagers to raise hell, destroy businesses, terrorize people, including tourists and residents? What's going on? The latest, Raleigh, North Carolina. The mayor of Raleigh, North Carolina, weighing whether to impose a curfew for minors following a series of shootings and chaos over the Independence Day weekend, in which several fights broke out. 9 people were shot during a series of these teen takeovers. You know, I believe this begins in school, where teachers have no control over their classrooms. None. So as you teach people they can do whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want, you end up with people that think they can do that throughout their lives. If there's no control, there's no respect for anything. Not for parents, not for teachers, not for law enforcement, not for anything. Janet Cowell is the mayor of Raleigh, North Carolina. She was quoted on a local news station saying, "As mayor, I'm grateful for the actions of the Raleigh police officers in response to the situations of juvenile violence across the city on the night of July 4th and the morning of July 5th. Clearly, Raleigh is not exempt from the incidents of youth violence that are occurring across the country. We need to talk with the youth, their parents, schools, and the broader community to understand the root causes and to better coordinate strategies." I just told you the root causes. There's no command and control. There's no respect for authority. There's no control of any sort, of any kind, with these kids. She's considering a curfew for those 17 and under, which other cities in North Carolina have already implemented. 5,000 teenagers showed up at Briar Creek. 5,000. Another 5,000 Glenwood South. 2 neighborhoods of Raleigh. More than half of these kids were not from these cities and were not from Raleigh. They descended social media bait. Come on down, have a good time. Loot, rob, assault, shoot. It'll be big fun for everybody as long as nobody gets killed. And miraculously, nobody did get killed, even though 9 were shot. Started 10 o'clock Saturday night, beginning with a fight near a movie theater. A teen takeover. Then a large fight broke out. Gunshots followed. 1 adult was shot. Another injured. Shattered glass caused by the shooting. A juvenile was found with a gun and detained, but investigators don't believe the teen was one of the shooters. At 1:30 in the morning, officers responded to multiple shootings. 6 people shot. All expected to survive. But what are we doing to allow this to go on? I don't care if you're 14 years old. You're handcuffed and put in juvie for a year. And where are the parents? Or have we destroyed the American family to such a point that the parents are just absent from the equation? That's what it seems like. The parents are just absent from the equation. Around 4:30 in the morning, 2 more people shot following a fight at a gas station. All non-life-threatening. No arrests were made. Let me say that again. No arrests were made. How is that possible? People are getting shot. Chaos, violence, and nobody gets arrested? Are you kidding me right now? The mayor calling these teen takeovers a disturbing national trend. Yeah, that's been going on for years now. We see it in Chicago. We see it in L.A. We see it all over the country. Here's what one of the bar owners did. The Milk Bar. It's a bar in Glenwood. And the owner wrote this on social media. While we had zero safety incidents inside Milk Bar, we made the proactive decision alongside other businesses to close our doors to protect our patrons and staff from the surrounding unrest. Gun violence and reckless behavior have no place in our nightlife scene. And then in all caps, we can do better, Raleigh. How about we can do better, America? If you commit a crime with a gun, I don't care if you're 14 or 15 or whatever you are. These violent little punks need to be held accountable for what they're doing. I deserve to live in a safe neighborhood. I deserve to go to a city and not be concerned that 5,000 delinquents are going to show up, armed and shooting. I have a right to go out to the Milk Bar or any other place and have an adult beverage without worrying about being shot because these young people have no respect for society and its norms and its rules and its guidelines. Starts in the home, extends through the schools. I mean, how many different videos do you have to see of kids beating up their teachers or being violent inside the classroom, fights breaking out in classrooms, at fast food restaurants, in food courts, on the streets? How much of this do you have to see before you say enough is enough? It is a distraction, but it's also a symptom. It's a symptom of a society that's tearing at the seams. And these are the people that will lead this country someday. Where do you think DSA comes from anyway? From people like this. They're led by college graduates who have some utopian vision of the world where everybody has everything they want forever. Cradle to grave everything. Doesn't work that way. Certainly doesn't work that way in Cuba where they have no power. Did you know that? All the power went out in Cuba yesterday. More than 10 million people in the dark, no air conditioning, no fans, no anything. How's that utopia working for Cuba? Communist since 1959. How's that working out? Pretty clear it's not working out. Anyhow, when you commit a crime, expect to be held accountable. All right? Speaking of alcohol, we've got a gold medal winner coming up next after the break. All right, how about some fun for a moment, huh? How about some attaboys for Detroiters Liquor, receiving a gold medal at the 2026 Bartender Spirits for 8 Mile Vodka. Anthony Tomei is the co-owner of 8 Mile Vodka and CEO of the Tomei Group. Sir, nice to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me on, Steve. How are you?
I am well. So you win gold at the 2026 Bartender Spirits Award. This is it's a badge of honor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. We've won several awards over the last few years, and I mean, people just need to get out there and taste it. That's all it is. You can do advertising, all this different stuff, but the best thing to do is just get liquor to the mouth. And once people taste it, they love it.
So when it comes to distribution, then this has got to be a big boost for you as well. You win the gold medal, and you can go to distributors and bars and everybody else and say, "Look, I've got the best product available," right?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helps to be able to say we've won 4 awards now in the last 5 years since we just started the vodka. So it's been great, and people love it. Once you taste it, you love it. The bars are selling it. Restaurants are getting out there. We just got to get it, all over the country. And once we do that, I think it's just going to take off.
All right, so tell us the backstory. How do you get to this point where you create a company that wins the gold medal for the best vodka? How do you start this? I mean, this is the American dream, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of a funny story. We were just planning an event for our church, actually a fundraiser, and I had my buddy come, and he's a travel agent, and we were just sitting there talking, and some guy came up and said, "Hey, you guys are business guys?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I have a vodka for you." I'm like, "How much?" He's like, "This much." I said, "Okay, we'll buy it." Then I tasted it, and it was not very good. And then for about 3 weeks, I had this thing in my head as, man, I really want to go buy a vodka company. We tried a few other ones. This one worked out really well. We bought it, tasted delicious, and then COVID hits. So we weren't able to get in any bars, get in any restaurants, get anywhere. And we just kind of sat on it for a year. Once we got in, we started getting all over the place. We got into our local Meijer, which is a larger food chain grocery store out here in Michigan, and we just kind of blew up from there. It's been great.
Michigan, I hear horror stories about how liquor is distributed in Michigan every single day. You got a smile on your face because the Michigan laws are a little tougher and different and antiquated, some might say. And I'm not asking you to take on the Liquor Commission here on the program, but are the laws different in Michigan, tougher, more difficult to navigate?
They are. There's a lot of different rules to it. There's a large tax on it as well, which doesn't help our pricing, right? You have to be able to get the bottle for a certain amount, the liquor for a certain amount, to make it, distribute it. And then, once you get to the distributions, you have the larger ones. You have your Tito's, your Grey Goose, your large Kettle One, right? And those are the big boys, right? So you have to play with the big boys, which is very tough to do. This is a tough game to get into. Once you get in, you do well. People respect it. But at first, they just kind of say, sure, sure, sure. They promise you the world, and then you never get anywhere, right? And then at the end of the day, the big boys just outspend you. And that's a really tough thing to understand. And it takes a while to get going and get into the industry here. So Michigan is definitely tough. If you go to Florida, right? I can sell my bottle for $19.99 in Florida. There's no tax on it. So it's a lot different, but it is what it is. And you just got to bear through it and find ways to make it work.
So $20 in Florida, how much here in Michigan?
30. It's $29.99 here in Michigan.
Because of tax?
Tax, yep.
Tax.
It's almost $10 a bottle in tax in Michigan. So
that's unbelievable. A third of the price. A third of the price is taxes. How many bottles do you produce?
At a time, it depends, right? We just did a nice shipment of 75,000. We wanted to, we got a really good deal overseas, and we made that happen with the bottle part of it. Everything we have is homegrown. All of our wheat, our barley, all that. It's a wheat-based vodka. And so we're able to get all of our stuff here in Michigan locally, which is great. But the bottles itself is very expensive here to do that in America.
When you produce it yourself, which I think is great, by the way, Anthony, I think that's spectacular. Do you partner with certain farms and say, look, we like your product, your wheat is better than other folks, and so it's good for the farmer too?
Of course, of course. It's just like picking, meat or produce or whatever. You want to find the best that does things the right way, that produces it properly. We want only the best stuff. This is like it's an awesome business. It's not our main business as well, so we want to do things the right way. I don't like doing anything kind of halfway, right? So we just
So
kind of
hold on. This is a side hustle.
It is. It is.
That's great.
It
Everybody
is.
needs one. Yours seems to be working out nicely.
Yeah, it's been great for us. I mean, like I said, we have our main business, and then we have several other businesses. And we actually got a new business with this. On the bottom of the bottle, it said "Born in Detroit." We asked, what this was. Like, it's a trademark. We own it. It's not really worth much. And we took it from them. We bought the company, and we made it into an apparel line as well. So we did a pop-up store for the NFL draft hosted here in 2024. And we've been booming since. And now we own Born In. We're franchising out the name nationally. And so we have our own, clothing line. And now Born In has become this Born In apparel. And it's been booming since then. It's actually doing better than the vodka. So it's
I was
awesome.
going to ask you, what's bigger, clothing or liquor?
Clothing.
Yeah.
It's been clothing and the tagline, Born In. We found that everybody really loves where they're from, right? Especially here in Detroit.
Yeah.
There's so many people born here and then leave, right? And so we found out that people still love being from Detroit, even though they don't live here anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a huge thing for us. It's been very, very successful. The vodka pairs really well with it, right? We sell it we have a store, Born in Detroit store. Sell
All
the
about
vodka
the pairings.
there. We have the guts. Yeah, so it's been great.
All about Anthony Tomey, congratulations on all the success. An American dream come true, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was great. You can do this, America. Clothing, vodka, whatever. Pick it. I'll take a break and be right back. Another story of failed socialism. Katie Wilson is this young socialist, idealistic socialist, desperately trying to run Seattle and failing remarkably. They say that they have... Chinatown advocate Gary Lee says that the mayor has turned her area into a human dumping ground. You see, they tried to clear all these people out. As we turn people out for the World Cup. Residents and business owners in the CID and Little Saigon say their neighborhoods are missing out on the economic benefits due to safety concerns, leading people to avoid the area. Business owners reporting a significant decline in foot traffic and business despite being less than a mile from Lumen Field. Yeah. You're for the homeless, you're for this and that, but in the end, it just doesn't work, does it? No, it really doesn't. This part of the program brought to you by QE Strong. If you deal with knee pain, joint pain, or stiffness, especially when you're driving or sitting for long stretches, listen to this. You can't take a medical treatment bed with you on the road, but you can keep the QE red light therapy wand right in your glove box. This handheld device uses red and infrared light combined with proprietary quantum energy technology to target pain right where it hurts. No pills, no appointments, just simple targeted relief you can use anytime. I love how portable it is. It's easy to use in just minutes a day. Go to QEstrong.com. Use the promo code Gruber. Get the QE wand for less than $100. That's QEstrong.com. The promo code is Gruber. Put it right in your glove box. Besides, if you have these devices, you can dress up for Halloween, as you can see in the pictures. I mean, that's just an added bonus, no extra charge. Put on the mask and light it up and go out, on Halloween. You will get people's attention, I can assure you of that. A lot more to cover this hour. Coming up next, we've got Alejandro Martinez, head of the National Food and Commerce Union, Mexico's leading labor organization representing workers in the commerce and food sectors. The border crisis isn't about people, it's about AI, he says. What does he mean by that? We'll explain after the break. Jumping back into it now. The next border crisis, I'm told, isn't about people, it's about AI. That's what my next guest says anyway. Alejandro Martinez says that is the key to what happens next here. The border crisis, not about people, about AI. He's head of the National Food and Commerce Union, or SNAC. That's Mexico's leading labor organization representing workers in the commerce and food sectors. Sir, welcome to the program.
Hi, Steve. How are you? Thank you for having me back.
I am well. Glad to have you back. All right, so why is AI the next important stop in all of this?
Well, regarding the border, we have faced 4 years of open borders, which almost destroyed Mexico and brought a lot of unrest and unemployment to America. And with a closed border policy of President Trump, you have seen a lot of the things getting better in security, in manufacturing, in human trafficking, children trafficking, etc., fentanyl, gasoline. The next big milestone is going to be the AI migrants, because you have seen Asian technologies being developed every day in a very fast pace, going through and through the internet, helping people solving problems very efficiently, and nobody's asking where do they come from, what information are they bringing to my laptop or to my cell phone, and what are they taking out? And nothing is regulating that right now. We have a USMCA trade agreement, which is under review right now between Mexico, the US, and Canada. And nobody's talking about any safeguards or guardrails regarding the new technologies. So I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see trade changing dramatically and millions of jobs at risk in North America.
Let me ask you about this. You just mentioned that the open borders were bad for Mexico, too. That's part of the story that we don't normally discuss. Open borders were, I believe, terrible for America because of child trafficking, drug trafficking, people coming here with their motives unknown. Why was it bad for Mexico?
Well, the first issue is that the open borders policy made the cartels the richest men in the world, probably in the history of humankind. Imagine the data says that a migrant had to pay between $30,000 and $50,000 to the cartels to bring them from the southern border to the northern border. If you think that the 10,000 migrant encounters a day we had during Biden administration were real, we're talking about $300 million a day revenue for the cartels, just human trafficking. Add to that children trafficking, which is more expensive, more revenue, women trafficking, drug trafficking, weapon trafficking, gasoline trafficking, diesel trafficking. These guys have more money than probably most of the countries together, right? So they could buy politicians, they could buy police, they could buy the army, they could buy the Marines. They have weapons like massive military. So yeah, the open borders policy made them ultra rich and ultra powerful. The second problem is that we have also the illegal migration problem stopped in Mexico, because you got 10 into the US, but 4 went back or stood in Mexico. And they're still here, working on our fields, cheapening labor, joining the cartels, many of them. So your migration problem became our migration problem, with a difference of power on the money to kick them out, and a president who wants to kick them out, and we don't. So Mexico is safer after the Biden policy.
I have a number of acquaintances that are from Mexico. One in particular is a woman about my age, and she's here legally in the United States, and she runs a housekeeping business. Does a fine job, by the way. And I asked her where she grew up. She grew up about 20 miles outside of Cozumel. And she hasn't been there in 15 years. I said, why not? She goes, because the cartels come in and they demand that you pay them for protection, just like the mafia in America, back in the day. And she said, they're ruthless. We don't make much money there. And then they come and take half of it. She goes, it's terrible conditions. She goes, she grew up in a farming community, smaller farming community outside of Cozumel. And she said, won't go there. It's not safe. They treat you terribly, and they run the whole place. How bad is the control of the cartels across the nation of Mexico today as we sit here and discuss it?
Different NGOs, depending on who you ask, argue that between 22 and 28 states in Mexico are controlled by the cartels. We have 32 in total. So it's not my specialty, but that's what we read about the NGOs who are watching the cartels taking power into different communities. Your example is very, very, very illustrative because the Mayan Riviera, where a lot of Americans used to go on vacation, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, all that part, is a paradise. You have one of the most beautiful beaches in the world to snorkel, to surf, to party even, and the cartels just took it away from the people and the small business owners, and now you have ghost towns over there. No tourism at all in a lot of many parts of the year, and
No, I mean, I used to go to Mexico a lot. I used to, patos and palomas, ducks and doves, right? I used to go there and do that. I don't go. I have no interest in going to Mexico. And then when one of the leaders of the cartels, like El Mencho, gets killed, Puerto Vallarta turns into a war zone for a couple of days. People getting killed, members of the National Guard, your military being murdered, right? I mean, it's dangerous to say the least.
you know the danger is mostly between the cartels. They don't mess with the civilians that much. Just extortion, of course, is like taxing. They're taxing the people,
Yeah.
like a second government. But the killing happens mostly between the cartels and the gangs.
Yeah. What can be done to correct it? Because, look, it's no secret. Politics in Mexico is corrupt. It's probably corrupt around the world, but Mexico does have a problem with political corruption of the police, because they're getting paid too. Everybody's on the take. Not everybody, but too many people are on the take, aren't they?
Well, you see, that's the matter with having strong wages. If we aim to have strong wages where families can live good and with dignity, they don't need to get recruited or paid off or corrupted by the cartels. Even the politicians, the police, they need to earn good money to support their families. So the temptation to sell your soul to the devil, to the cartels, is no more there. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Latin America, but at all, politicians are corrupted. You see what's happening in the UK. The Arabs, the Muslims are paying them off so they can rape the English children without any consequences. And it's
Yeah.
exactly the problem. It's just about money.
Yeah,
And they
so-
have a lot of it.
All about money, and there sure is a lot of it. And there's a lot more of it happening when the borders were open. I'm glad they're not. Alejandro Martinez, thank you for being here. We'll talk again, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me. Have a
Of
good day.
course. Trying to rip back the curtain so you can see what's back there. And it's not always pretty, that's for sure. So, all these folks that float in from Central America and South America stopped in Mexico, creating bigger problems for them, too. More after the break. All right, in case you missed it, a 911 recording was released on July 1st involving Mitch McConnell. He was found unresponsive in his home, right? Well, he's been hospitalized now for more than 3 weeks, and so where is Mitch McConnell? Where is Mitch McConnell? His staff saying he's on the road to recovery and he's interacting with his staff, and yet in the last 48 hours there have been numerous reports that Mitch McConnell is basically brain dead, has no function, and is not coming back. Here's a post from a woman that I found interesting that I wanted to share with you. As a critical care nurse looking at Senator Mitch McConnell's situation through an ICU lens tells a very different story from the public updates. Following the release of emergency audio detailing an unconscious person in active CPR for cardiac arrest at his residence on June 14th, his staff issued a statement claiming he continues to improve and is working closely with his office. However, anyone with extensive bedside experience knows that for an 84-year-old frail patient who has sustained an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest requiring full resuscitation, the idea that he is actively participating in daily Senate business is highly unlikely. The brutal physical trauma of chest compressions, combined with the high risk of acute neurological insult, makes return to high-functioning baseline virtually impossible for someone with his pre-existing vulnerabilities. From my clinical perspective, the statistical chances of a full recovery are slim to none, serving as a stark reminder that political status cannot override physiological limits. And then she asks this question: who agrees that his constituents and the rest of America deserve the truth? We do deserve the truth. So here's another question. June 16th, 2026, John Thune went on national television. Said he spoke with McConnell after he was admitted to the hospital. Said he was very dialed in and indicated he'd be back soon. But numerous people say that's actually not the truth. One woman who has been following it closely, I guess her name is Desiree Townsend, don't know who she is, also pointed out that Elaine Chao, McConnell's wife, went to China just a few days after his hospitalization to meet with high-ranking Chinese officials. Well, why would Elaine Chao be appearing in China when her husband is hospitalized in grave condition? Hospitals know that you're there for 3.5 weeks now. He's not in good shape. Is he brain dead? I don't know. But I do know this. Congress was not supposed to be a taxpayer-funded nursing home. I mean, I don't remember the woman's name. Member of Congress, Republican, here a couple of years ago. They couldn't find her. People were looking for her. Her staff said, oh, she's fine. She's just working from home, or she's out of the office, or whatever. They covered and covered and covered, and then she was discovered in a nursing home in Houston, Texas, where she had been for months. And yet, to protect power, these staffers, the real deep state in my estimation, in large part of these staffers, the people whose names you don't know, who are there forever because they just go from one office, and if that person loses an election, they just shuffle down the hall to the next office. They're the ones that write policy and press releases and protect these people. Possibly brain dead, Mitch McConnell. And right after it happened, his wife goes to China. Any of that smell to you? He went into the hospital just days after voting no on the Save America Act. Here is Kentucky law. If Mitch McConnell resigns or dies before August 3rd, there must be a special election to fill his seat. There must be a special election. And the people like John Thune cannot afford to have that happen. One social media post says, it all feels like Weekend at Bernie's. It sure does. No meaningful updates on his condition. A lack of transparency. It is outrageous, to say the least. And his wife is over meeting with the CCP. All very strange, isn't it? So my question of the day is, where is Mitch McConnell? We need answers, and we need them now. Where is Mitch McConnell? What is his condition? Can Kentucky get an actual conservative to fill the gap? You know, replacing Mitch McConnell at this juncture might be enough to get the Save America Act across the finish line. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I'll take a break and be back with some final thoughts, but for Mitch McConnell, the final thoughts may have already happened. Not to be crass. I'll be back. I want to say thank you again to all of you for the support of this program and the support of our song, One Nation, by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. It made the Billboard charts at number 6. Unbelievable. A top 10 song on Billboard. Digital song sales. And now that it's picking up radio airplay, could even go higher. So I want to thank Ivy and Laura Kokenauer and everybody that participated in creating this song to celebrate America, to celebrate faith. Pretty remarkable to me, honestly. Humbling. Humbling that we can do something that we never saw coming. Hey, can you do that? Yeah, sure, we can try that. And then it goes boom. Boom. A lot of support out there from different people talking about the song. Apparently, it was played in churches all over America on Sunday. So that's pretty remarkable. As the churches play it, it's picked up. Let me check. We had picked up like 42 radio stations. And radio play is a big deal. And getting radio play is really hard, actually. I mean, it's when you talk about the mafia controlling how things work, trust me, the music industry is as bad as anything you've seen. The big boys like Sony or Universal, even Netflix, they don't want little pipsqueaks like me and Ivy and Laura to sneak in there and ring the bell in the top 10. No, they want their songs to fill the top 10 only. Well, good for us. And good for you. People still care about patriotic songs in America. God bless America. At any rate, God bless America. Fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. And remember, only you can save America.
Somewhere around 400.